the attorney and the artist.
Mr. Hyman, the local American Legion post is named after you, so why aren't you better known in Iowa Falls?
Well, first of all, I'm not really from Iowa Falls. I was born in Kansas. My father was kind of a restless merchant, and he was born in Kentucky. My mother was a Canadian. I went to school in Eagle Grove, Iowa, and we moved to Iowa Falls in 1916 when my father purchased the bakery on Stevens Street. He had his own brand of bread, Sweet Home bread. My brother John helped him to run the bakery. I was 24 years old and attending the University of Iowa Law School at the time, so I really wasn't around Iowa Falls very much, although it was considered my hometown. The USA entered the Great War in Europe during my senior year in law school. It was supposed to be the war to end all wars, but it was actually the war that started all wars. The peace at Versailles at the end was actually a great contributor to World War II. By the time the USA entered the war, the Central Powers had already had 3 years' experience at turning young, healthy farm boys into faceless invalids and mutilated corpses. As a senior in law school, I could have avoided the war, but I felt that my leadership ability and my analytical ability was what was needed to provide leadership and make decisions on the battlefield.
What happened to you?
People like Merle Elliott and myself were thrown right into the front lines to face the Germans' last all-out offensive on the Western Front. As a second lieutenant, one of the men under my command was wounded and laying behind some trees in a small village in the Ouise-Anne region of northern France. My only thought was to react instinctively and do what my training taught me to do. My last experience and sensation in life was of getting hit, and my last thoughts were concern for my parents and what my family back home would think. I did what any human being would have done. At first, my body was buried in France. Because I was an officer and because of the manner of my death, it was possible to relocate my body. My family moved to San Diego, California in 1920 and sold the bakery in Iowa Falls. I was buried in Greenwood Cemetery with my other family members. It's now surrounded completely by freeways and interstate highways. In 1920, there was a strong push in the United States to get back to normal and for super patriotism. Certain individuals like Henry Ford were criticized for their comments about the war, as was local newspaperman Ira Nichols. The local American Legion chose my name as their name in March of 1920. I was 26 years old when I was killed on July 29, 1918. I'm generally considered to be the first person from Iowa Falls to be killed in World War I. But actually there was another. Merle Elliott was killed 3 days prior to me on July 26, 1918. Merle was his father's only son. Merle had lived briefly in Iowa Falls and was born in Alden. He had a job in Fort Dodge at the time of his enlistment in the war, and he had a promising career ahead of him as a banker, which he never returned to. Merle was buried in France for 3 years before coming home to be buried in Union Cemetery. His father never lived to see his body return, as his father died in December of 1918 from health problems contributed to by losing his only son.
Let's talk about Bill Peavey, who the local American Legion post is also named for.
Bill Peavey was a promising graphic artist with a job waiting for him at Walt Disney in California. He was stationed upon the USS Arizona on December 7, 1941. The Arizona was at Pearl Harbor awaiting repairs when they were attacked by the Japanese. The Arizona exploded violently when one of her magazines was hit by a Japanese bomb. 1,177 crewmen were killed and 1,102 crew members' remains were unrecoverable and remain interred beneath the sacred USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii.
I was born in Centerville. We came to Iowa Falls because my dad worked for the railroad. My parents divorced when I was a boy. My father's alcoholism contributed to the divorce. We lived at 718 Iowa Street, across the street north of the Congregational Church. I attended Iowa Falls schools until my senior year. I graduated from school in Fairfield, Iowa. My dad is buried in Iowa Falls. He died in 1948. While at Iowa Falls, I did skeet shooting. I was a center on the football team and a guard on the basketball team. More than anything else, I loved to draw. I was a natural-born artist who could draw anything quickly with just a moment's notice. The Legion added my name in 1946.
Bye.